Good morning all, and welcome to the Les Miserables one channel, a place where I've been making silly internet videos and things since about 2008. It's only mildly terrifying because a lot of the people getting famous on YouTube these days were probably barely even born then. Beard update, it is still going strong. I don't really like it personally, but the longer it gets, the more effort it is to get rid of, the less energy I have to be able to do that. So I leave it longer and it gets longer. And this is kind of just where we're at now. It's pretty beardy. Now, quite a few people responded to the last video that I made. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll link it up in the iCard. But I did make a bit of a video about the worrying state of my health. As we can probably see here, I am a little bit better. However, still not entirely very well. Very much lacking the energy to do much of anything, which is concerning, but I'm at the very least slightly less ill. So I guess we're moving in a positive direction. Now, as I say, quite a few people responded to that video. I have not had the energy or the capacity to even begin to look through those yet, let alone reply to them. But just to let people know that I'm still ticking along. We're still here, we're still thriving, and we're gonna have a lovely little slow day in my wee cottage. We've got Gerard, the very polite duck here, Kevin the capybara. Just a lovely little vibe we've got here in the wee cottage. So we're gonna have a nice slow morning. I'm gonna let myself wake up a little bit because we're not quite there. And then I'm gonna figure out what I actually need to do today. Because unfortunately being ill means that quite a lot has kind of piled up. So I do need to do some things. Hopefully gonna go out for a wee shop. Also gonna try and do a stream this afternoon. Quite a lot of things, quite exciting, but also need to not get carried away because as soon as I have a little bit of energy, I'm like, oh, I can do stuff, and then it goes again. So it's about doing it in a measured and controlled way. I'm gonna bring you along on the journey a little bit. So I've got some clothes on, I'm a little bit more dressed, a little bit more put together. I mean, not super put together, but a little bit. And I am going to attempt to stream for a little bit. Two crucially important things to bear in mind here. Number one, I've just moved in, so everything is still a little bit chaotic. Number two, a lot of my shit is down in Sunderland. So for example, my desk and my chair where I would do things, that is still back down in the northeast, whereas I am now currently in Edinburgh. So we've had to build a kind of real makeshift setup. So I'll give you a little bit of a tour. So we have the most uncomfortable sofa in the world. It's very thin and hard, and those little buttons kind of just go in you. So I've had to put pillows down, obviously not ideal. You got Sonic the Hedgehog blanket, because I'm autistic. This is the little like side coffee table that came with the place. I've got my laptop set up on it, my microphone resting on books because I also don't currently have a mic arm. Switch just chilling back here because there's not really enough space for anything. You've got the death pile of boxes and books because I don't have furniture. They will go away, they just haven't yet. Audio interface, monitor, literally again just on this little unit here that came with the flat. Elgato headphones, and the Xbox is behind here. It's a very rogue, very rugged DIY setup we've got going on, but it works for now. It's a good temporary fix. Now, I have been getting into productivity streams. I did my first one the other day, my first co-working stream. A little bit of a wild concept to me. Essentially, I just do the stuff that I need to do live on stream. People like to kind of co-work and body double and join along with that. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, it's twitch.tv/Aaron T. Hastings. I'll put the links in the description and possibly in the card if it'll let me. Also, one of my tasks that I want to do is try and set up a Discord. Now, I do not know how to use Discord. I'm old. However, I'm gonna try and learn, and I'm gonna try and build a little cozy cottage Discord vibe. So I think that's what I want to do. But I'm gonna go live for a couple hours, try and do some other bits and bobs around the cottage after. So I've taken a little bit of a break from the stream just to make some lunch. In a wild twist of events, I'm actually trying to not buy as many meal deals, and I've actually been buying stuff. Hold up, wait for it. Bread. Buying stuff to actually make my own sandwiches instead of buying meal deals. Can I cook properly yet? No, that's the next step, but at the very least, we're making sandwiches. Am I in fact just making the exact ham sandwiches that my mum has made me since I was probably about 5 years old? Yes, I absolutely am. Am I also eating things like cheese strips, Dairy Dunkers, and fruit winders? Yes, I absolutely am. Am I slowly coming to the conclusion that perhaps I decided what I liked when I was about 5 years old and have just eaten the exact same thing ever since? Yes. Is that 100% the autism? Also yes. And we managed to get a decent amount of stuff done. We've made a new cover going live on the music channel tonight. So by the time you see this, it should already be out. I will link that in the iCard. Set up a Discord, which I will link in the description if I remember to do that. But yeah, productive little stream. Got my little setup here. I've got it connected onto the monitor, which is quite cool. Managed to do some things. I replied to the comments on my last video about my health stuff. There's still a bunch of people I need to reply to who've like messaged me directly. I will do that, but at least I've started the ball rolling. I fear I am now quite sleepy. I always forget how much streaming takes out of you. Mentally, I'm very drained. There's for sure a muscle I need to build back up, but also again, just need to be careful doing it because there's no point in replacing a job that makes me ill with my own sort of business that also makes me ill. The important thing has to be controlling it, whatever the context, whatever it is that I'm doing. However, I am now going to go outside, get some fresh air, and go for a little Asda trip, get some food in before we kind of wind down for the night. It was at this point I realised that I didn't actually film anything on the way to the shop or at the shop, which might have actually made this video a little bit more visually interesting. But we have a haul in the fun Garfield bag. We got lettuce because I'm trying to be sensible, fudge because I'm not that sensible, milk, bread, ham for the sandwiches, various microwavable dinners because cooking is not a frontier that we are ready to tackle just yet. For those who are curious, it's the ham and mushroom tagliatelle, the tomato chicken tagliatelle, and the chicken and bacon pasta bake. Because I am nothing if not a creature of habit. And once again, I decided what I liked one time, and I've eaten them ever since. We also have cucumber, some fun cereal because I already have Weetabix and fruit and fiber, so I need just a little bit of whimsy and a little bit of a treat every now and then. A little bit of variety in my breakfast. We got limited edition Prime Hydration because I'm a fucking sucker. And finally, we bought the Beano because I'm really trying to like go in on the inner child stuff at the moment. You might have noticed from the Dairy Dunkers and whatnot, but this is just fun. It's just nice to read something simple and light. I have, however, made a bit of a distressing revelation in last week's issue of the Beano. They talk about Dennis the Menace's dad, and they use this illustration here to represent Dennis and his dad. Now this is what I remember Dennis the Menace looking like, maybe a little bit more colour, but this is how I remember Dennis the Menace, and that's how I remember his dad. This is his current dad, which is not how I remember Dad looking. Which really begs the question, is current day Dennis the Menace the son of the Dennis the Menace that I actually used to read like 20 years ago? Also, the fact that I used to read the Beano 20 years ago is distressing in and of itself. Either way, every sentence that I just said makes me feel really freaking old. However, with that being said, I have absolutely overdone it today between the stream and making this video. It was way too much. I kind of just crashed out after the stream and it took me quite a while to go to Asda and to actually buy this. Now, in a way, this is actually good because it is good to kind of learn where the limits are, or at least where the limits are at the moment, so I can begin to build a better picture of how to more sustainably live my life. Obviously, pushing things to the limit is not the ideal way because you'd rather stop before you get there. However, I do think that it is useful to understand a bit better. So with all of that being said, I am going to put this stuff away. I'm going to make myself some food, and then I'm going to get an early-ish night and primarily take tomorrow to just rest. I think even though I'm resting and I'm doing things differently, I am still doing too much. Just a different type of things and a different type of too much. So I need to be careful regardless, and I need to make sure I am actually properly, efficiently resting more. This, for example, was meant to be a slow day in the life, and look how it's turned out. So with that being said, I am going to wrap things up here. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed and you do want to follow along on the journey, please do subscribe, follow along, etc. I'm going to have links to my Discord, my Twitch, and everything else that I've mentioned in the description and probably in the iCard. There's a sleep token cover that's dropped on my music channel because I was actually meant to be a download this weekend, but with the state that I'm in, I figured it was probably not the best idea to be in a field all week. So there's a bunch of stuff in the description and in the iCard. Please do subscribe, follow along, and I will see you again probably next week, TBC.